I'm talking about shadow. And I'm just reading a little poem called I Wear a Mask, and then I'll just talk about that. But before I start, I want to say thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. Thank you to everyone who leaves comments, and thank you to everyone who shares. Thank you for helping this channel to grow. Thank you for supporting me, and I appreciate you. Okay, so this is called I Wear a Mask. Okay. To be loved, but never touched, never held, never seen. To be idolized, worshipped even, but never known, never understood. To have it all, but have no appetite or desire. This is the real meaning of poverty. For what does it profit a man to gain fame and fortune, but not be attuned to the power of his own soul? This is a tragedy, not easily abated. For the more we are known, the more we are hated. Do I reveal my true nature and risk the loss of your support or your friendship? Do I hide myself and further lose touch with my authenticity? This is the dilemma, not easily debated. For it is in our eccentricity that we are differentiated. Will I choose popularity if it means misery? Will I wear the mask that you've approved to represent this entity? I create a shadow to embody all that you reject in me, all of me that you choose not to see. I wear a mask because I'm afraid that you will see me, and I don't trust that you will truly love what you see. That was written on the 16th of September 2022 by Patrice Elliott. So there's 4 characteristics that are regarded as eccentric. And we know eccentric is just a polite word for calling somebody crazy, or, you know, like there's something wrong with you. And one of these is a non-conforming attitude. The other is creativity and intense curiosity, or being idealistic. You wouldn't really think that those were qualities that would or that could elicit negativity. You know, like you'd be persecuted for having such character. And yet we do know that we are persecuted when we are non-conformist, that we are attacked if we don't do all of the celebrations that your culture celebrates. Christmases, for example, if you say you don't celebrate Christmas, it's as though you killed Jesus. Or if you don't celebrate birthdays, or if you don't believe in war, for example, and the rest of you, like you live in a country that's, all about the wars, whatever your non-conforming might be, maybe it's the way that you dress, or maybe you have a different faith. We certainly know that anyone who doesn't conform to the status quo about, the religion that you're supposed to follow. I mean, in some countries you will be killed still. In some countries you just be demonized, and in certain circumstances you may even lose your job, even in the Western countries, for being a spiritualist, for having spiritual belief, those sort of things. So if we don't conform to the status quo of the community or the country that we live in, then we are under threat of violence, or losing our jobs, losing friendships and such things. And sometimes so people conform, not just on those bigger, for those greater things that we're talking about, like religion or your spirituality. But for example, when you were in school and you might have given up your individuality to follow the popular children, for example, and they were giving up their individuality for following culture, popular, like the movies or people that they saw in music videos and those sort of things. So we're always conforming to something. We're conforming to other people's ideals. Another one is because I have a friend of mine who doesn't want to have children, and she is like she's been told she's selfish, or she's looked at as something's wrong with her because she doesn't want to have kids, as though like something is wrong with her mind because she doesn't want to have kids, because that's all that women can do with their bodies. So we are being persecuted by each other to conform. And it'll be interesting to look at yourself to say, when do you persecute others for not conforming to your ideals? Or when are you persecuted within your family, friend circle, or your community, or in your workplace for not conforming to their ideals? And what does that persecution, what shape does that persecution take on? Okay, Carl Jung talked about the shadow, which he describes as a part of the psyche, a part of the mind where we hide things. And a lot of people may think we only hide negativity in the shadow, like if we're hiding something, it's something bad. But actually, the shadow is a place where we hide the things that our society deems as inappropriate, but also things that we treasure that we don't want to lose. And we might not, we might be persecuted, ridiculed, people belittling you. That's persecution. Okay, when somebody belittles you, puts you down, because you have a particular interest that they don't have and they don't understand. Even amongst this, in our spiritual community, there's so much jealousy that people tend to not talk about their gifting. People tend to not talk about their abilities, because they know that people will envy them, and the people who envy them will not want to have anything to do with them anymore. And so sometimes you feel like you can't share your gift either. You'll be envied, or sometimes because people will fear you because it's not accepted. And so there's so many reasons why you may hide your gift, either for, you don't want people to envy you, like I said, or you don't want people to fear you, think, oh, you're up to something bizarre, or for someone to be curious about, who do you think you are? Why do you have a gift and I don't? That type of thing. So there's all these kind of reasons why people try to protect certain parts of themselves. And because of that, you will feel stifled, and you will feel uncared for. You will continue to feel uncared for, unloved, unappreciated. And it does cause us to be psychologically unwell, because we are not really, we're not being accepted in our environment, in our family, and in our culture. So, and we know things about, things like homosexuality, even, that some people hide their sexual preferences for years. And some people are still hiding even now, because they don't feel comfortable, because they don't want to be persecuted. They keep that private, and they have to put on this public persona, because in the work that they're in doesn't appreciate and accept, that you could be homosexual, or that maybe you feel like you're in the wrong body, and maybe you dress up at home, and where you feel comfortable, because your family might not understand, and those. So this is how we have a persona that we publicly present, and then we have this shadow personality, or personalities, or we have things. So the shadow maybe I'm not explaining myself properly. The shadow is an archetype all on its own, but the shadow is also like a place. Okay, so if we think of our minds as being a place as well as a person, okay, and that might be why it sounds a bit confusing. Or you could have multiple people, okay, you could have multiple aspects to your personality. People don't like to say multiple personality because whenever you talk about having multiple personality, it's only when you're being diagnosed as something, as being unwell by a psychiatrist or something. That's the only time people have heard about multiple personalities. But we do have multiple personalities. That is a fact. Or you can call them archetype if it makes you feel more comfortable. And again, that's another thing where we are playing with words, because we don't want to be persecuted. We have to be so careful about not being stigmatized or not being classified as being unwell. And so sometimes people don't speak out. For those people who, for me, I certainly know it's a big deal that I speak out, and I know that at some point I'm going to come under attack by some person, and I have been under attack for other reasons, like who are you? Where did you study? How dare you? How dare you have an opinion? Because you're not a theologian, as though it's the only way. I know I'm my gripe. How dare you? So, and this is why we have to make sure, like, I am well qualified. I'm very qualified for my job, and for, I'm a qualified therapist. And you have to make sure you have these badges and these shields. So it's like the ward of, my qualifications are like my little, like the ward of vampire with a cross, so you have some protection. Stay back, demons, you shall not pass. So you kind of, because you do know that you're going to be under attack, because this system is set up that it does not want anyone to the system is set up to protect itself, so that nobody dares to speak out against the status quo. Nobody dares to speak out against what the mainstream say is. And so they can continue that as we're waking up. Oh, there was an orb just then. Oh my God. As we're waking up, that it's easy to put people back to sleep by giving them pills or telling them, oh, you got multiple personality disorder. Finally, in the mainstream psychiatry, they're recognizing what people have known, spiritual people have known this always, that you're not ill. When people go through trauma and they develop a secondary personality, in order to protect the main personality, and they know that this is not a disorder, it's not a mental disorder, it's a defense mechanism of the mind to shield and to protect. Okay, so we don't just use, we know that we use anger and we use different things for protection or defense mechanisms, but we also create personalities, what they call alter egos, in order to protect yourself. And it's not like these other, it's not like people like Freud didn't know this. Freud knew a lot. Okay, there are people who knew things, but they did not want it to become mainstream knowledge, because they were holding the power to themselves. There are those people who have an agenda to hold knowledge to themselves and to hold the power, because knowledge is power, and that's why they do not want to share this knowledge with the people. And anybody who shared this stuff, you will get discredited. Okay, and this is what the whole accreditation business is all about. You can be accredited and you can be discredited. And anyone who then went outside of mainstream to get their education, then you'll be belittled for getting your education outside of the mainstream. And the reason for it is because of control. Okay, so they use ridicule and belittling to control people so you can continue being in the mainstream where you can be controlled, because somebody can discredit you and then you don't get any work. And so then they train you into become a liar or a suppressor, or you just get trained into a specific as Jung calls it, pigeonhole knowledge, not a holistic knowledge, and therefore you are much more easily controlled. And therefore then when you are then teaching, and you go into teaching, or you go into therapy, you then hold your clients within that pigeonhole framework that you were trained into, and anything outside of that is classified as a disorder. Now, because you cannot suppress the truth, we cannot suppress the truth. The truth will always come out. And so there are those people who are willing, always light workers are born, who are willing and will continue to spread the light, and we will continue to be authentic and continue to show ourselves in authentic light, regardless of if people think that whatever people may think, let's put it that way. I'm wondering if I've said everything I need to say. There are safe places and people that you can share yourself with and be natural with, okay? And we are allowed, we're all talented. Every one of us has talents. None of us, not one human is born without talent. Even these falsified beliefs where you are told that there's some people talented and some people not talented, and because of that you unconsciously suppress your own talents. I've actually recently heard my cousin, I was on the phone with him, and he was talking about his grandchildren, and he says, oh, this one here is the brainy one, blah blah blah, and this one here is the shy one. And I said, don't put these words on these children. You're actually, by saying that one is clever, the other one is hearing that he is not smart. You're actually telling him without words that he is not intelligent. And so this little child that you're calling shy, and then naming the other one as intelligent, that's the brainy one there. That's how they grow up. One of them believing that he's brainy, so he's going to go out and he's going to shine, and he's going to have the confidence to try things, and he's going to excel, while the other one is being told, oh, he's shy. He's only young. He's younger. That's all he is younger. And this is where, and that's why there's Adler talks about birth order and how our birth order affects us, because we are put into these categories already just based on our birth position. So there are many things that cause us to suppress certain sides of ourselves, whether we do it consciously or unconsciously. I'm shouting today. Good God, I'm so excited. And I've got a headache, Very passionate about this subject. got a bloody headache. I was telling myself, like, don't shout at anyone today. There are reasons why we suppress certain parts of us, whether we do it consciously or we do it unconsciously, but we need to start to look at what we're suppressing, why we're suppressing certain things, and we need to understand that we are all valuable and we are all here to shine. We are all made of the same, we're made of the same substance. We're all talented, we're all gifted, we all have the capacity to learn, we have the capacity to grow, and there are safe spaces and safe people that you can share with. Not everybody is judging you, not everybody is jealous of you, not everyone is afraid of you, okay? There are many people like yourself, so don't stop shining, don't stop being curious, don't stop being idealistic. I have another friend who, one of his friends told him that he doesn't live in the real world or something like that. That's not how, that's not how the real, there's another orb. Oh my God. That's not how the real world works. That's what his friend told him. Like, yeah. So somebody once upon a time set up the real world, and we just slotted in it, and we should just follow whatever somebody else has put in place because we're nobody. We don't matter. Therefore, we just have to live in the world that somebody else constructed. This is not how it is. Idealistic people, we can have an idea. It doesn't mean that we're dreamers. You know what the real world is. We know where we are, but we also know what we want to create. So that's what an ideal is. And all creators are idealistic. They don't say, oh, we just have mud huts and mud huts is all that we can ever do. They're saying, no, maybe there's some other material. Maybe there's another type of building we can build. And that's how they build it. So that's what ideal is. We know where we are. I'm right here, but I'm going over there. So we can be pragmatic and idealistic all at once. And we are the ones who are now constructing the world. We are not just somebody's slave and somebody's servant. We're not just here to serve the ruling class. We are here to create, and we're here to make changes. And those changes start with ourselves. And yes, I have been shouty today. I'm okay with it. I'm gonna have to just be okay with how the energy flows. I'm just so looking forward to just checking out these orbs in these videos today. Anyhow, yes. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. And until next time, love, light, life.